right? Like the reason everybody goes to the gym is because you see the weights go up and you see your body improve. Like you see the motivation, you see the feedback loop. That's why we're so obsessed with being able to measure the data, is because it's motivating.
Welcome to Season 7 of Bridge the Gap, a podcast dedicated to informing, educating, and influencing the future of housing and services for seniors. Powered by sponsors AccuShield, Align, Nick Map Vision, Procare HR, Sage, Hamilton Captel, ServiceMaster, The Bridge Group Construction, and Solinity, and produced by Solinity Marketing.
Welcome to Bridge the Gap Podcast, the senior living podcast with Josh and Lucas. We've got a battle of CEOs on the show today. No, just kidding. But we do have some great friends and some movers and shakers, and it's going to be a great conversation about how two great entities have come together to help change the outcomes for senior housing. And we got two passionate leaders. We want to welcome Brett Landrum of Procare and Paul Jarvis of Clarent. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Thanks. Appreciate you having us on, and excited to dig in.
Brett, we're going to start with you. Talk to us about how Procare and Clarent and this kind of new merger of great leadership and great companies have come together.
We actually had a client of ours that made the introduction to Paul and I, and I'll start with actually kind of the long-term vision for Procare that we've been running towards for the last number of years. And I think that should provide some clarity as to kind of the why. Procare, the mission that we really describe ourselves as a mission-based growth company. And so the vision that we've been running towards over the last 9 years has been, proving out the thesis that incremental improvements in people and people-related functions can translate to, the main business outcomes of senior housing operators. So resident satisfaction, quality of care, and ultimately financial performance. And we've positioned ourselves really to have a strategy that's 3 layers. The first is comprehensive HR services, really optimized for senior housing, delivered consistently and predictably, scalably, et cetera. The second layer is building and buying highly value additive services that really don't exist in the marketplace today, that can really be the tip of the spear to drive those better business outcomes for our operators. And then the third layer is data. And I would say I had in my head one thing, and as Clarent and Paul and Henry have came in, and they've challenged that thesis. And given that they know a lot more about senior living data, technology, and business intelligence, they have they have won that argument. But we have we're starting to develop a vision for how can we leverage data to inform our actions, better serve our clients, drive better outcomes, and also inform clients on what are actions they can take to pull drive key pull different levers and drive key outcomes in their organization.
Brett, our audience has come to know Procare, those that didn't already know. I mean, you guys have been grinding for 9+ years, as you mentioned. And we've also known Paul and his team for years in the industry. So, Paul, I mean, tell us similar kind of from your perspective, the why of Clarent, what you've learned through the years being in the industry and serving clients and providers, and why this made sense for you guys as well.
Yeah, it was funny. It all started with, I missed a call from Brett and he left a voicemail, and I actually kept the voicemail because it's a nice little souvenir now. But we've been at this for kind of 5 years. And what we did was business intelligence for senior living owners and operators. So we were pulling data out of financial and operational systems. We were looking at rent roll, CRM, payroll, and chart of accounts. So really everything with a dollar sign. And what we were very good at was kind of what Brett alluded to, the like reporting the news side of the world. I could show you every number from every system for all time. Where we needed to go to the next level was, how do we help our customers change the news, right? You hear a lot about actionable data. We were really good about the data part. We didn't really have the ability to do the actionable part. And that's because, we were building a dashboard, we were putting numbers in front of people. So the more I talked to Brett, the organization that he's built at Procare has this really unique model where they have a lot of trust and a lot of really close touch points with their clients. And so, when you talk again, the actionable data piece, like the action may not live with the CFO, right? The action may live with a scheduler, with a community, with an executive director. And so it seemed like a really cool marriage of our expertise on the data and technology side and their expertise in terms of the people that they've hired who know the industry, who work really closely on a day-to-day basis with their partners. So it made a lot of sense the more we got into it.
I'm curious, give us a little behind the scenes of action steps for the partnership. Because you guys, great thought leaders in the space, great, strong companies, lots of clients, and so many opportunities, I imagine, on the whiteboard. No pun intended. You've got that whiteboard behind you. I'm sure there's going to be tons of great things rolling out. But for you guys, what is like top of mind right now? Like 1, 2, or 3? Like what is going to happen first for client and industry through this kind of mega partnership coming together?
I joined Procare along with my business partner, Henry. He's really the technical genius behind a lot of what we did. And so the first thing that we're looking at is, Procare has a very large client base where they do a lot of different things for folks, right? They're doing payroll, benefits, workers' comp. They're helping in some cases with scheduling, with talent acquisition. There's a lot of stuff to look at. We kind of break it into a couple different categories. Like one of the first places to look at is how can we give our clients a very clear picture of the value that we're providing, so that they can see, we set out together as a partnership, to move this number from here to here and move this number from here to here. Have we made progress on that in the last few months? And I think that is always a challenge when it comes to data. Is, this is a complicated business, particularly when you look at the labor side. You have people coming in and out. You may be acquiring new properties, different organizations, dining services, culinary department. Like there's just a lot to chew through. So that's the first step, is like, can we prove the value that we're providing is what we believe it to be and what we hear from clients? Can we get a number for them to be excited about? The next piece, and this is where I think the Procare model is really unique, is we have developed and we're building more of these kind of unique industry specific services that go on top of data. And this gets again to that actionable data piece. So there's a product that we're already in market called Schedule A, which is for labor management. And it's a really cool idea because, for example, like we used to at Clarent show a number on a dashboard that was percentage of overtime by community. And we would show that to CFOs and VPs of FP&A. The real decision maker on that is a scheduler at the community level, right? It's not the person who is looking at our dashboard. And so the magic of what we're doing with these services is it's showing people the right number, like a very small set of data, and then working very closely with the right person to make sure that the action actually gets taken to rebalance the schedule in a way that works for the employees and works for the budget. And so it's been an interesting process coming from Clarent, where it was like more is more, like let's get all the data, let's do everything, to let's be more narrow. Let's give people like specific views of data, then match them up with the right person at Procare and the right person at their organization to actually drive action, and then let's measure it. And let's just do that over and over again. So there's a labor management piece, there's a talent acquisition piece. We're looking at some other really important sides of kind of workforce management. So talking about retention, things like that. And that's what's really cool for me, is going again from like, instead of just trying to pull as much data as you possibly can, let's really drive change. And that sometimes requires looking at a much narrower view of data and saying goodbye to the dashboard and hello to maybe more manual, traditional kind of look at a report, meet with the right person, follow up on it, but you tie all that together in a way that's really powerful.
A great example of this that was kind of my aha when we started doing the brainstorming around, what do we do now? Where do we take this? What's the first step? Was, and this is kind of a non-HR example, is, what's your average rent rate? And, if I'm a CEO and I look at my average rent rate and I say, wow, like I got a problem here. I'm much lower across the board than I should be. That's, whether I look at that every week or every month, that's a really big, meaty thing to action across my entire organization. And it's like, for me to go action that, and we see this in our business too, when we look at, these KPIs, there's the, okay, it's not where I want it to be. What do I do now? How do I action it? And where do I find the resourcing and organizational energy to go action it? And so, like, use the rent example. Okay, now I have to do analysis on every single resident and the different markets I'm in, and it's this really big strategic shift. And frankly, we as an operator probably have a bunch of other initiatives going on, and so then we have to put it in the queue. And by the time we get to it and action it and start seeing that number change, maybe we're a couple of quarters from now. And versus, it's that, like, if we get 1% better a day, what happens at the end of the year? And I think that's the philosophy that Paul and Henry are really driving within Procare is, what are the incremental actions we can do to impact that, every single day with the right stakeholders, so that when the CEO or the executive team looks at their data set around on how they measure the success of the business, you're making those gains every day versus having to look at it once a month and say, oh, it's not where we want to be. Now it's this big strategic shift, and how do we manage it? How do we action it? So it's this concept of kind of micro actions every single day to get incrementally better, so that when we get to the time that we're looking at the really important business metrics, they're where we want them to be.
So, Brett, would it be fair to say that if you looked at traditional PEO services and even the services that Procare's traditionally offered, is this just making those services better, or does this give you the ability to actually expand those services?
I would say it's both. One, Paul and Henry and I have talked a lot over the last few weeks, and they have a lot of conviction that there's a lot of low hanging fruit to actually make the traditional HR model that we're delivering much better, clearer for our clients and our clients' investors as well. But then there's also additional, I would say, product development that we're anticipating doing with the program. And I mean, look, like Procare, we're a tech-enabled service company. What we're really good at is delivering comprehensive HR services, developing new products that are tech-enabled services around the needs of senior housing. But we've traditionally, while we're really good at like finding great technology, building the team to configure it and deploy it within our clients, what we have not traditionally been good at is anything that requires development or deep data analysis. Like, I have described us as, we were really technology incompetent, really, and kind of poor. And really, both with Clarent and then some moves that they've made and we've been making in conjunction with them, like it's really exciting, because like there's a light switch, and we just went from like technology poor to technology rich overnight, and that's something that we're really, really excited about.
Well, and Paul, I think you were touching on this and saying in such an eloquent way, it probably went over my head a little bit, but I mean, data out there for years, our industry has really started, I would say, at least throwing around the use of that term, right? And I would say collecting a lot of data, but where I'm not sure we've done great on yet, or there's definitely a lot of room for improvement, is like, what do you do with that data? What does it mean, and how do you turn that into actionable items? And I think that's what you were speaking to. So, I mean, what do you think, like, for example, for existing PEO clients or people that are thinking like maybe on the fence about, do I need a PEO solution? What do you think is going to be the main advantage of this partnership for clients and prospective clients now that you guys are together?
I think really you get access to a lot of expertise, and you get access to a lot of not just expertise in the sense of, here's a book, go read it, like people who will help you, who will teach you to fish, who will hold your hand and make sure that you actually get there. And again, I think you kind of hit on it, Josh, like the evolution of data is, first, are you capturing it? Like, have you migrated from spreadsheets to using some kind of software where it now exists in a computer somewhere? Then it's bringing it all together. Then it's actually doing something with it. And each of those is a pretty significant organizational leap on its own. And I think what we can really help people with is providing kind of, I would honestly use discipline is the right word. Like one of my mentors so I used to work at a company called Palantir for 7 years that did data analysis for the Fortune 500 and the US government. It's now like a big publicly traded company. But one of my mentors there used to say, we're never going to build a dashboard without a meeting. Like I'm never going to put numbers up unless we're actually going to look at it and we're all going to agree about what we're going to do with it. And I think that that's a lot of what we can provide now is this kind of full service experience. Brett said they're a tech-enabled services company. I want, Clarent as part of Procare to be a services-enabled tech company. Did you think of that way? Like we build the dashboard, they help provide the meeting. And when I say the meeting, it's someone who understands the industry, who probably did that job before, right? Like the lady who runs the Schedule A program that I alluded to earlier, she was a scheduler. So she really, really gets it. And then they're going to help you actually do it. And the most important thing is seeing the follow through, right? Like the reason everybody goes to the gym is because you see the weights go up and you see your body improve. Like you see the motivation, you see the feedback loop. That's why we're so obsessed with being able to measure the data, is because it's motivating and it reinforces the action that you want to take in the right direction. Or it tells you, hey, this isn't working, right? Like I've invested all this time into this one thing, it's not getting the results, I got to do something else. So that's where I see the value for potential clients is we will not just bring you kind of the data, we'll bring you the discipline, we'll bring you the practice to actually get there, and we'll help you see the results.
It makes a lot of sense. And, I think a lot of people probably naively, maybe just ignorance and not meaning that disrespectfully, and I'm putting myself in this category. When you think of PEO services, you're thinking of it's in this little box, right? And it's probably for small mom and pop companies up to a certain level of company. But I mean, everything that you guys are describing, the depth and breadth of services, I mean, this is relevant for all organizations. And whether you're a huge company that struggles with being quick to deliver on strategy and action and execute, all the way down to, hey, maybe I am a smaller regional operator and I just don't have the bandwidth to do all these things, and I need more maybe than what a traditional PEO service would offer, because I'm going to have my hand held a little bit more and have the accountability and the boots on the ground power to help me roll out. I understand what my data means, but I don't have all the resources to help make effective change in my organization. And it sounds like this is going to be a perfect blend of both of your worlds to better equip all operators out there, no matter whether they're a huge company or a small company. I mean, I may be kind of misinterpreting that, but that sounds like what it means to me. Brett, would you agree?
100%. I think an important point that really highlights what got, Eric and I, my business partner, and Paul and Henry really excited about this marriage is for the last 9 years, like I've had this vision in my head that I don't want to be a PEO. Like if you look at what is the goal of most PEOs, they're gonna, it's to deliver, really deliver, shareholder value, stamp out more PEO clients, have great retention, good client satisfaction. The vision for Procare is we want to turn the industry on its head and improve the industry holistically by the work that we're doing. And, that really spans far outside of PEO. We use a PEO contract, but the breadth and depth and scope of our services that we have today and will continue to build is going to be much, much broader and deeper than a traditional PEO. We happen to use the PEO contract because we get efficiencies that and economic buying power that ultimately go back to our clients in the form of more competitive pricing. But so we do use the PEO contract, but we don't consider ourselves a PEO. We consider ourselves a comprehensive HR partner and business advisor for senior care operators. And like the vision is we want to give our operators an unfair advantage in the marketplace where, because of all the work and all the services that we're providing, we can have demonstrable impact on quality of care, resident satisfaction, and financial results that we can measure and prove. And like when I think about what does success for Procare look like in 15 or 20 years, it's not we're a $1 billion company, we do X amount of revenue, we serve this many employees. It's, do we have copycats? Are people like having to our other operators having to evolve and change because of the work that we're doing in partnership with our clients. And that's the rallying cry, and that's the thing that, that's the mission that really is getting our team excited about, the future of this marriage.
Well, Lucas, what an awesome mission. And we talk about, this industry so much, and it is all about, if any industry is about people, it's this industry. Not only the residents and their families and all these partners that that join us in our community to provide that care, but really starts with the team and those teams out there. And it's so exciting to have two great guys that have two great companies that have seen the strength of being better together, that to use Brett's term to help turn the industry upside down on its head. And so we need that change. So thankful for you guys. And Lucas, I know this is a special time, and we're glad that we're able to talk about this on Bridge the Gap Network.
That's right. I think it's the definition of bridging the gap. Brett, everything that you just said reminds me back to you and I's first conversation. It's probably almost a year ago now. Hearing you say these things and wanting to set these goals and now seeing it actually happen is really fun to watch. And, I've been at this 15 years in the industry, and Josh has been in the industry longer, and I've seen the evolution of different things along the way. And kind of one of the, I guess, maybe a knock on the industry or a criticism is that the industry has been slow to adopt technology. And over the years, I've kind of seen that, where it's like buildings don't have Wi-Fi yet, but I feel like that there has been a massive acceleration in the senior housing space over the last maybe 2-3 years or so, where it is really entering the cutting edge comparatively to other verticals. And I think that you two gentlemen are on that cutting edge, maybe even bleeding edge of moving these technologies and these mergers forward. And it sounds like this kind of suite of services is a great next step as a part of the larger mission for both of your companies. And it's exciting to hear. It was exciting to listen to myself, and appreciate all of your hard work.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited about it.
Well, Paul, Brett, thanks for being on the show today. And to all our listeners, if you want to connect with Paul and Brett and follow this journey or have some questions, go down to your show notes and hit those links, and you can find out more. Go to btgvoice.com, listen to this episode and so much more. Connect with us on social media, hit us up on LinkedIn, be a part of the conversation. And thanks for listening to another great episode of Bridge the Gap.
Thanks for listening to Bridge the Gap podcast with Josh and Lucas. Connect with the BTG Network team and use your voice to influence the industry by connecting with us at btgvoice.com.